Welcome to another episode of Barring with Saturdays, and this week I decided to look at Escape from Planet Earth. Earth's greatest secrets are about to break out. From Area 51, obviously. I mean, where else would aliens break out from? That's where they keep all the alien bodies, after all. I've watched Independence Day. I know what I'm talking about. Though I do have to complain about the box here a bit. Let's see. They're never in a city during the entire course of this film, so why is the box art showing them being in one? And why is the little kid on the front? I'm not saying he's not in the film. He's just never on Earth at any point during the film. So there's no reason he should ever be being chased by our generic yellow-suited villains here. So yeah, minor gripe, I suppose. Because let's face it, do most people really care that much about what's on the box? I mean, it's obviously just meant to grab your attention and bring you into the film. So you can't expect them to put too much thought into coming up with something creative with what's in the film itself. Because most of it takes place either in labs or in, well, basically a desert out in the middle of nowhere, it feels like. Sort of like the first fight in Independence Day between Will Smith and the aliens. In fact, it seems like they make a nod to that with some of the fighting that goes on. So, yeah. This is a film that loves its references. We get such great lines as "I'm Bing, James Bing," from a computer system at one point. Obviously meant to be a reference to James Bond and a search engine that only wishes it was as popular as Google. Honestly, I don't think I've ever really used Bing. I've heard them brag about being better. I don't know if they've ever really gotten that big of a market share. I really don't care to look into it either. As far as the film itself goes, it's a pretty generic by-the-books kind of plot about two siblings. End up having a major fight and then, break up. Because you got the mission controller brother here, the older one. It feels like he always has to babysit his younger brother who's constantly getting himself into trouble. Because, he just loves to go with style over caution. And then you got a younger brother that constantly feels like his older brother is trying to stifle his style and steal his thunder. So they have a major fight, and the older brother's like, "I quit as mission controller. You're on your own from now on, younger brother. And you're going to wish I was there because you're going to screw it up." And of course he's right. His younger brother does eventually screw it up and get caught on Earth. And then he has to come and rescue him because he feels responsible. Because if he had been there, maybe Scorch wouldn't have been caught. So yeah, since he feels responsible at that, he heads to Earth and decides to rescue his brother. And yeah, that brings them together closer than ever before and strengthens the family relationship. And throughout the rest of the film, you got other fights and stuff going on. And there's also some other references, too, to like dating services at one point. Though I think probably one of the more interesting aspects of the film is probably the fact that William Shatner voices the villain. You have the guy that's well known for being Captain James T. Kirk and shouting "Khan" at the top of his lungs into space, even. And yet he plays the villain in this film that wants to destroy all alien life. Basically snuffing out all stars in the universe because a couple of aliens killed his dad because they forgot to load their ship up with the rocket fuel. Unfortunately, I can't really channel the Ultimate Warrior. I'm sorry, I just can't channel that level of insanity, despite where I work. So yeah, there's just a lot of reference material here you can go with, all over the place. Which is probably meant to be more for the adult audience's entertainment, because you're like, oh, I recognize that, or that, or that. Like, yeah, not to this, that, or the other thing. I imagine a younger audience would get a lot more enjoyment out of this film, somewhat on the grounds that, it might be generic, but if it's your first introduction to a story like this, it's always usually a bit more memorable. An older audience that's seen a lot of these kinds of plots about siblings fighting and then coming back together will probably argue, it's a somewhat forgivable one in the grand scheme of things. Like I said, probably the most interesting aspect that I remember about was the fact that William Shatner voices the villain. It's the thing that stands out most about the film for me. That and the Ultimate Warrior joke you can make with it. And that's pretty much all that stands out for me. That doesn't mean it's a bad film, though. It just means it doesn't stand in the memory very well, because it's so by the book. It just doesn't have anything that really gives it that edge that stands out from the crowd. But being, a film that doesn't stand out but is enjoyable enough for a popcorn flick isn't necessarily a bad thing. Especially in comparison to some of the other abominations I've watched on this show, like Life is a Jungle, or some other stuff, too. It just makes you want to cringe. every time you hear the title. Till next time, then. See ya.
I thought I told you. We come in peace. Ouch! Oh, wow!
First punch out?
Yeah.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, feels great.